exploring everywhere, no map, no reverse. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck. Answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck. Answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? I am sure glad that I've got a friend, a friend like Sammy. I've been playing with a program called OBS. Allegedly, it's going to make my computer, it's going to allow my computer to do stuff that most people's computers when streaming do no problem, but for whatever reason, it's me and it's tech, and nothing wants to work right. I can't share a video because the video and audio is shaky or crunchy or whatever. Hello, you guys. Hi, Cynthia. Hello, Stingy. Conspiracy time. Yes, it almost turned into like a tech show because, yeah, I was mucking around with OBS so that I can do more things and make this better. And I mucked around too much. And I thought I turned everything off. And I thought, whatever I had done, no big deal. And I'll just turn the computer on and open StreamYard and all will be good in the morning. I was wrong. I was very wrong. I think it looks like OBS is just always running in the background. So whatever I was dicking around with yesterday stuck, and my camera picture was upside down, which is okay because I guess yeah, I was pushing too many buttons and clicking too many links, and either which way, I was upside down. People said, or I was told that it's supposed to look like you're upside down in StreamYard when you're using OBS, but I didn't think I had OBS on. So I dropped Sammy a quick link or an invite to the show, and he came in and he said, "Oh yeah, no, you're upside down." So I had to go and I reset the whole computer again, and went into OBS, and I pushed a few more buttons, clicked a few more links, got Sammy back in here, and it looks like I'm upside right for everyone, for me and for you guys, in theory, crossing fingers. That being said, I'm only half understanding what it is I did to undo whatever it was that I did yesterday. I think I know what I did, but I'm not certain. So I think whenever the stream is done today, I will be going back into OBS and playing around some more. Perhaps tomorrow, if I can figure out enough of it. Oh, good. I'm not in Australia. Okay. Well, thank God for that. But yeah, maybe tomorrow I might play around with OBS on live stream so you guys can watch me fuck up. Because I don't know what I'm doing at all. I haven't got the slightest idea. And I really am one of those boomers who's afraid if I push the wrong button, the PC tower is just going to burst in flames. Um, Not because I think that that's physically possible in most cases, but I do know that with my luck and the gremlins of tech that hate me so much, it may just happen. So yeah, maybe I'll play around. I know Shenny and I were going to stream at some point tomorrow because everyone's on Thanksgiving. Well, I'm not. You guys are. We did ours a few weeks ago. We're good. But you guys are doing it tomorrow, so we thought we might go on and stream. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll play around with OBS on stream, and then you guys can laugh at me. And if all goes wrong, Shenny will be on stream as well, so the stream won't just sit there. You know what I mean? If I get kicked off the internet, but the stream just sits there live, it would not be the best thing in the world. Because my PC would be blowing up and I wouldn't be able to get back on to shut it off. So that way with Shenny tomorrow, maybe that would work well. But anyways, yeah, this is conspiracy time. This is Bill Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse time. We got halfway through the chapter last week, and I'm sorry, but I want to know how they decide who the overseer is in this new Americas thing. Because they hold an awful lot of power. They hold a shit ton of power. So remember, it was a... Let me get in here. I didn't drop any links in Discord or anything. So, yes, a proposed constitutional model for the new states of America. We got about halfway through. And I would love to know at what point, because a lot of it is just legal jargon, right? Like it's stuff to put you to sleep because that's its job, right? Put you to sleep, have you not paying close attention, so they slip things in. Yeah, there is absolutely nothing. There's absolutely nothing in here at all in this proposed constitutional model about the overseer. Every other job in your government has been mentioned, although they pluralize vice presidents. It's a president, but vice presidents plural. So that caught my mind. But only one president, but even that president and like all three arms of your governmental system are all three of them are all beholden to the overseer, who's mentioned constantly in the powers that they do get, but they don't mention how the overseer becomes overseer. And that leaves me a little iffy. You know? But first things first, I need to... Oh, I've got to drop some links or it's just going to be you and me hanging out here today. Pardon me. Not that I mind hanging out with just you and me, Stingy. It's been a while. I could just turn on the game. Screw the conspiracies, eh? Next week is going to be a big one. Where are we here? Yes, Stingy, you may be interested. This is definitely more up the aisle of Professor Cheese. Cheesy's going to want to get in here. Next week is Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion. So if you want to talk conspiracy time, Next week is going to be it. And next week will be happening on Tuesday, not Wednesday, um, simply because I've got someone who wants to hear it live. Um, and they work Wednesday. So there you go. I don't, you know what? Anything that could go wrong is going wrong because um, now YouTube doesn't want to open in my tablet, which is just silly. Okay, there we go. Yay, that works. I just got to kick the gremlins in the ass, um, and go from there. There we go. Okay, now I can do this, and this bit is pretty easy. Um, so it'll only take me a minute. There we go. See, and then all it is now is just copy and paste. And hit enter, right? And hit enter. I've done that a few times too. I leave it hanging and then I go back later and it's still sitting there just waiting for me to hit enter. There we go. Oh my gosh, dead air. I'm so sorry, Stingy. You're at work, you're looking for entertainment. You're hoping to find something that's going to keep you going through the workday. And here I am making you watch me quietly drop links. I'm nearly at the end here. I've only got a couple more. And then we can get started. It is just you and me here. Did you want to just start from where I stopped last time, or do you want to go back and listen to the first half? I guess if I just pick up where I left off, we can continue through the dry stuff, and I can, in my fun travels through OBS, I can figure out how to uh, sti stitch the two together, I guess. Um, but yes, I hope you have a wonderful day and find the fun stuff. There we go. Um, and this is what happens when you have tech difficulties. Okay, I think that's good enough. I missed a few, but that's fine. Um, so yes, I'm playing with OBS. OBS is playing games with me. Um, I have no idea about tech stuff, so we we shall see as we go. Um, yeah, this is what a day. What a crap day. Like literally, it's cold, but it's just warm enough that things have started dripping. So, par for the course. All right. Well, normally everyone would be just rolling in now, and instead, people are just getting notifications and stuff. So, um, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start reading from where I left off. It's a really, really, really dry chapter. Um, there's an awful lot of crap, a whole lot of wordage, verbiage, but it's well, no, I'll read the last half of this. I can stitch it together when I figure out how to do such things in OBS. Um, I will do it then, but it's basically giving over all responsibility to the overseer, and they never mention who that is. So it's kind of frustrating. I'm glad that last week's chat, um, well, the chat we got talking on other things. It was a very dry section. It's a very dry, full of legalese chapter, um, and it's basically how they're going to model the new states of America, as they call it, um, for the new world order. Um, and the way this one's written, it doesn't even feel like it was written with the goal of having uh, the United States as the head of the global agenda, like the global control, I guess. It's really very strange. I know that, well, I don't know, but I am fairly certain that Trump's perspective is globalist agenda is happening, but he wants the American Constitution to be the basis for all of the law of the globalist system. And honestly, at this point, that's how I kind of feel myself. Maybe I'm reading into Trump what I'm feeling myself, but to me, it kind of feels like he knows he's at the end of his life, not the beginning. And he's got the freedom to buck his paymasters a little bit. Um, so I can see how he's trying to do more than I think they want him to do or would like him to do. But I still think that, yeah, he's trying to put the American Constitution as the main framework of law surrounding the global system. Um, so that's a good thing. I mean, at the end of the day, that would be the best of, the best of the bad option, right? But either which way, I will just pick up where we left off. Remember, basically, well, here, I will go back. And here we go. So we've gone over the rights and responsibilities, the new states themselves, the electoral branch, the planning branch, and we are just about to start Article 5, which is the presidency. So now they're going to tell us how the president works. But don't forget, in the last four articles, everything had to be pushed up the hill to the overseer. The overseer is the one who had to take care of everything, or who could okay everything. So let's see how the president fits into the new states of America, and how the overseer, takes control of that. All right. Article 5, the presidency. Section 1. The President of the new states of America shall be the head of the government, shaper of its commitments, expositor of its policies, and supreme commander of its protective forces. Shall have one term of 9 years, unless rejected by 60% of the electorate after 3 years. Shall take care that the nation's resources are estimated and apportioned to its more exigent needs, shall recommend such plans, legislation, and action as may be necessary, and shall address the legislators each year on the state of the nation, calling upon them to do their part for the general good. Section 2. There shall be 2 vice presidents. Okay, see, here we go. Hello, Hunter Ellis. How you doing? So this is what I was wondering about, because they said president singular, but president or vice presidents plural. So here we go in section 2. There shall be 2 vice presidents elected with the president. At the time of taking office, the president shall designate 1 vice president to supervise internal affairs and 1 to be deputy for general affairs. The deputy for general affairs shall succeed if the presidency be vacated. The vice president for internal affairs shall be second in succession. If either vice president shall die or be incapacitated, the president, with consent of the Senate, shall appoint a successor. Vice presidents shall serve during an extended term with such assignments as the president may make. If the presidency fall vacant through the disability of both vice presidents, the Senate shall elect successors from among its members to serve until the next general election. Remember that the president is serving 9 years per term, not just 4. With the vice presidents and other officials, the president shall see to it that the laws are faithfully executed and shall pay attention to the findings and recommendations of the Planning Board, the National Regulatory Board, and the Watchkeeper in formulating national policies. Section 3. Responsible to the Vice President for General Affairs, there shall be Chancellors of External, Financial, Legal, and Military Affairs. The Chancellor of External Affairs shall assist in conducting relations with other nations. The Chancellor of Financial Affairs shall supervise the nation's financial and monetary systems, regulating its capital markets and credit issuing institutions as they may be established by law. And this shall include lending institutions for operations in other nations or in cooperation with them, except that treaties may determine their purposes and standards. The Chancellor of Legal Affairs shall advise government agencies and represent them before the courts. I don't know, what worries you guys more? The super long ones or the super short ones? Like Chancellor of Legal Affairs is just a quick one-liner. Shall advise governmental agencies and represent them before the courts. That's pretty broad. But then the ones that they've got whole paragraphs for, that just gets even worse. With all the different legalese, you're wondering what it is they're trying to hide, right? The Chancellor of Military Affairs shall act for the presidency in disposing all armed forces except militia commanded by governors, but these shall be available for national service at the president's convenience. Except in declared emergency, the deployment of forces in far waters or in other nations without their consent shall be notified in advance to a National Security Committee of the Senate hereinafter provided. Section 4. Responsible to the Vice President for Internal Affairs, there shall be chancellors of such departments as the President may find necessary for performing the services of government and are not rejected by a 2/3 vote when the succeeding budget is considered. Section 5. Candidates for presidency and the vice presidencies shall be natural-born citizens. Their suitability may be questioned by the Senate within 10 days of their nomination, and if 2/3 of the whole agree, they shall be ineligible and a nominating convention shall be reconvened. At the time of his nomination, no candidate shall be member of the Senate, and none shall be on active service in the armed forces or a senior civil servant. Section 6. The president may take leave because of illness or for an interval of relief, and the vice president in charge of general affairs shall act. The president may resign if the Senate agree, and if the term shall be more than 2 years to run, the overseer shall arrange for a special election for president and vice president. Section 7. The vice presidents may be directed to perform such ministerial duties as the president may find convenient, but their instructions shall be of record, and their actions shall be taken as his deputy. Section 8. Incapacitation may be established without concurrence of the president by a 3/4 vote of the Senate, whereupon a successor shall become acting president until the disability be declared by a similar vote to be ended or to have become permanent. Similarly, the other vice president shall succeed if a predecessor die or be disabled. Special elections in these contingencies may be required by the Senate. Acting presidents may appoint deputies unless the Senate objects to assume their duties until the next election. In Section 9, the vice presidents, together with such other officials as the president, may designate from time to time, may constitute a cabinet or council, but this shall not include officials of other branches. Okay. That just the wording in this book. Well, not the book specifically, but this particular paper. It was, yeah, it was a waste of tax dollars in a way, but it's yeah. It's I can see where they're going with this. And again, they mentioned the overseer. Um, it's just insane that they would think that they could get this through. But to think that they wrote this, let's get back to the beginning of this one. Prepared over a 10-year period by the Center for Democratic Studies of Santa Barbara, California, at a total cost to United States taxpayers of over $25 million. And okay, there's no date specifically, but this book was written in 91. This is the first edition. So the book was written in 91. This would have had to have been put through, say, maybe 1980 to 1990, something like that. So yeah, they're really playing fast and loose. They're throwing a lot of either too many words or like no words at all, and it's all so vague. And there's an awful lot of people getting an awful lot of power. And I don't see how any of them are being elected, and they can veto anyone who could. You guys won't be able to have just anyone go in and try to run for president. I mean, yes, financially, average Joe can't run for president in America. Fair enough. But you've got to get through 2/3 of the Senate, this Senate, just to be nominated for president or vice president. And the American people don't fit into this at all. Anyways, Section 10. Treaties or agreements with other nations negotiated under the president's authority shall be in effect unless objected to by the majority of the Senate within 90 days. If they are objected to, the president may resubmit and the Senate reconsider. If a majority still object, the Senate shall prevail. See what I mean? Section 11. All officers, except those of other branches, shall be appointed and may be removed by the president. A majority of the Senate may object to the appointments within 60 days, and alternative candidates shall be offered until it agrees. Section 12. The president shall notify the planning board and the House of Representatives on the fourth Tuesday in June what the maximum allowable expenditures for ensuing fiscal year shall be. The President may determine to make expenditures less than provided in appropriations, but, except in declared emergency, none shall be made in excess of appropriations. Reduction shall be because of changes in requirements and shall not be such as to impair the integrity of the budgetary procedures. You're right. Stopped taking care of that stuff a long time ago. Section 13. There shall be a public custodian appointed by the President and removable by him, who shall have charge of the properties belonging to the government, but not allocated to specific agencies, who shall administer common public services, shall have charge of building construction and rentals, and shall have such other duties as may be designated by the President or the designated vice presidents. Section 14. There shall be an intendant responsible to the President, who shall supervise offices for intelligence and investigation. Also, an office of emergency organization with the duty providing plans and procedures. Okay, bleh. Wordy. Hello, amazing. How you doing, hun? The party headquarters control nominations. The internet provides an opportunity for a populist candidate without affiliation to the parties. Gotcha. Okay. So I guess in a way it's not quite as different as I thought. Hi, Anne. All right. Let's start that at section 13 again. I felt like I was tripping all over my words. So, section 13, there shall be a public custodian appointed by the President and removable by him, who shall have charge of properties belonging to the government, but not allocated to specific agencies, who shall administer common public services, shall have charge of building construction and rentals, and shall have such other duties as may be designated by the President or the designated vice presidents. Section 14. There shall be an intendant responsible to the President, who shall supervise offices for intelligence and investigation. Also, an office of emergency organization with the duty of providing plans and procedures for such contingencies as can be anticipated. The intendant shall also charter nonprofit corporations or foundations, unless the President shall object, determined by him to be for useful public purposes. Such corporations shall be exempt from taxation, but shall conduct no profit-making enterprises. Right. Section 15. The intendant shall also be a counselor for the coordination of scientific and cultural experiments, and for studies within the government and elsewhere, and for this purpose shall employ such assistance as may be found necessary. Section 16. Offices for other purposes may be established and may be discontinued by presidential order within the funds allocated in the procedures of appropriation. Yeah, that's an awful lot of, like, just that intendant's got an awful lot of control and power over important stuff. Supervising all intelligence and investigation offices also is an office of emergency organization. Then it's got the nonprofit corporations that it's got control of, as long as they're determined to be useful for public purposes, right? And those corporations are lucky enough to be tax exempt, but shall conduct no profit-making enterprises. No profit-making. In what way? Because that's pretty similar to the way they're set up right now, right? I got to look up. You guys not down here. But that's how it's set up already, right? In theory, they're not meant to be making a profit, but they do. Anyways, Article 6 is the legislative branch. So this is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Let's see how the Senate, who seems to have an awful lot of control as well, let's see how these guys are built up. So A, the Senate. Section 1, there shall be a Senate with membership as follows. If they so desire, former presidents, vice presidents, principal justices, overseers, chairmen of the planning and regulatory boards, governors having had more than 7 years service, and unsuccessful candidates for the presidency and vice presidency who have received at least 30% of the vote. To be appointed by the president, 3 persons who have been chancellors, 2 officials from the civil services, 2 officials from the diplomatic services, 2 senior military officers, also 1 person from a panel of 3 elected in a process approved by the overseer. Okay, there's I wonder how you get on that panel of 3. By each of the 12 such groups or associations as the president may recognize from time to time to be nationally representative, but none shall be a political or religious group. No individual selected shall have been paid by any private interest to influence government, and any association objected to by the Senate shall not be recognized. Similarly, to be appointed by the principal justice, 2 persons distinguished in public law and 2 former members of the high courts or the judicial council. Also, to be elected by the House of Representatives, 3 members who have served 6 or more years. Vacancies shall be filled as they occur. Hello, Shenny. You're alive and online. I had some technical difficulties, I tell you what. I played with OBS, but the OBS it ended up playing with me. So I'll tell you about it later, but it was fun. Sammy helped me. Anyways. So, vacancies shall be filled as they occur. Section 2. Membership shall continue for life, except that absences not provided for by rule shall constitute retirement, and that senators may retire voluntarily. Section 3. The Senate shall elect as presiding officer a convener who shall serve for 2 years, when his further service may be discontinued by a majority vote. Other officers, including a deputy, shall be appointed shall be appointed by the convener unless the Senate shall object. Section 4. The Senate shall meet each year on the 2nd Tuesday in July and shall be in continuous session, but may adjourn to the call of the governor, or may adjourn to the call of the convener. A quorum shall be made by more than 3/5 of the whole membership. Section 5. The Senate shall consider and return within 30 days all measures approved by the House of Representatives except the annual budget. Approval or disapproval shall be by a majority vote of those present. Objection shall stand unless the House of Representatives shall overcome it by a majority vote plus 1. If no return be made, approval by the House of Representatives shall be final. For consideration of laws passed by the House of Representatives or for other purposes, the convener may appoint appropriate committees. Section 6. The Senate may ask advice from the principal justice concerning the constitutionality of the measures before it, and if this is done, the time for return to the House of Representatives may extend to 90 days. Section 7. If requested, the Senate may advise the President on matters of public interest, or, if not requested, by a resolution approved by 2/3 of those present. There shall be a special duty to expressions of concern during party conventions and commitments made during campaigns, and if these be neglected, to remind the President and the House of Representatives that these undertakings are to be considered. Section 8. In time of present or prospective danger caused by cataclysm, by attack, or by insurrection, the Senate may declare a national emergency and may authorize the President to take appropriate action. If the Senate be dispersed and no quorum available, the President may proclaim the emergency and may terminate it unless the Senate shall have acted. If the President be not available and the circumstances extreme, the senior serving member of the presidential succession may act until a quorum assembles. Section 9. The Senate may also define and declare a limited emergency in time of prospective danger, or of local or regional disaster, or if an extraordinary advantage be anticipated. It shall be considered by the House of Representatives within 3 days, and unless disproved, may extend for a designated period and for a limited area before renewal. Extraordinary expenditures during emergency may be approved without regard to the usual budget procedures by the House of Representatives with the concurrence of the President. Section 10. The Senate, at the beginning of each session, shall select 3 of its members to constitute a National Security Committee to be consulted by the President in emergencies requiring the deployment of the armed forces abroad. If the committee dissent from the President's proposal, it shall report to the Senate, whose decision shall be final. Section 11. The Senate shall elect or may remove a national watchkeeper and shall oversee, through a standing committee, a watchkeeping service conducted according to the rules formulated for their approval. With the assistance of an appropriate staff, the watchkeeper shall gather and organize information concerning the adequacy, competence, and integrity of governmental agencies and their personnel, as well as their continued usefulness, and shall also suggest the need for new or expanded services, making report concerning any agency of the deleterious effect of its activities on citizens or on the environment. The watchkeeper shall entertain petitions for the redress of grievances and shall advise the appropriate agencies if there be a need for action. For all these purposes, personnel may be appointed, investigations made, witnesses examined, post-audits made, and information required. The convener shall present the watchkeeper's findings to the Senate, and if it be judged to be in the public interest, they shall be made public or, without being made public, be sent to the appropriate agency for its guidance and such action as may be needed. On recommendation of the watchkeeper, the Senate may initiate corrective measures to be voted on by the House of Representatives within 30 days. When approved by a majority and not vetoed by the President, they shall become law. For the watchkeeping service, 0.25% of individual net taxable incomes shall be held by the Chancellor of Financial Affairs, but amounts not expended in any fiscal year shall be available for general use. There you go. So B, this is the House of Representatives. Section 1. The House of Representatives shall be original lawmaking body of the new states of America. Section 2. It shall convene each year on the second Tuesday in July and shall remain in continuous session, except that it may adjourn to the call of a speaker elected by majority vote from among the representatives at large, who shall be its presiding officer. Section 3. It shall be a duty to implement the provisions of this Constitution and in legislature be guided by them. Section 4. Party leaders and their deputies shall be chosen by caucus at the beginning of each session. Section 5. Standing and temporary committees shall be selected as follows. Committees dealing with the calendaring and management of bills shall have a majority of members nominated to party caucuses by the Speaker. Other members shall be nominated by minority leaders. Membership shall correspond to the party's proportions at the last election. If nominations be not approved by a majority of the caucus, the Speaker or the minority leaders shall nominate others until a majority shall approve. Members of other committees shall be chosen by party caucus in proportion to the results of the last election. Chairmen shall be elected annually from among at-large members. Bills referred to committees shall be returned to the House with recommendations within 60 days unless extension be voted by the House. In all committee actions, names of those voting for and against shall be recorded. No committee chairman shall serve longer than 6 years. In Section 6, approved legislation not objected to by the Senate within the allotted time shall be presented to the President for his approval or disapproval. If the President disapprove and 3/4 of the House membership still approve, it shall become law. The names of those voting for and against shall be recorded. Bills not returned within 11 days shall become law. Hello, AP. How you doing? AP says, so what does it say about the Marines being the only branch of the military that is solely controlled by the President? And Guten Tag. This is the proposed constitutional model for the new states of America. So this is the constitutional model they were setting up when America becomes the new states of America, or basically, this is when they start to roll the globalist agenda in, right? Countries become states all in of themselves. You know, like my province wouldn't be a province anymore. Just Canada would be considered one state, and you guys would be a state. And that's how they do it for the globalist agenda. So this was proposed. It was written up over a 10-year period and paid for by the American taxpayers. Yeah. So this is what would happen if. And I'm sure they've rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. We did half of it last week. Before we got sidetracked. And now that I'm playing with OBS, I'm going to figure out how to clip and edit things so I can put both halves of this chapter into one video. But so far, we all have to worry about the overseer because the overseer's got a shit ton of power over everyone, over all three arms of your government. So yeah, this is similar but different, and it's the vagueness of it all is quite telling. They're giving themselves even more power because of the way they're writing it, right? So oh gosh, the writing there is like almost 10 times larger than these ones. It's hard to refocus. All right. So Section 7, the President may have 30 days to consider measures approved by the House unless they shall have been submitted 12 days previous to adjournment. Section 8, The House shall consider promptly the annual budget. If there be objection, it shall be notified to the Planning Board. The Board shall then resubmit through the President, and with his comments, it shall be returned to the House. If there still be objection by 2/3 majority, the House shall prevail. Objection must be by whole title. Titles not objected to when voted on shall constitute appropriation. The budget for the fiscal year shall be in effect on January 1st. Titles not yet acted on shall be as in the former budget until action be completed. Section 9. It shall be the duty of the House to make laws concerning taxes. 1. For their laying and collection. A. They shall be uniform and shall not be retroactive. B. Except as such may be authorized by law to be laid by authorities or by the new states, all collectibles shall be made by a national revenue agency. This shall include collections from trust funds hereinafter authorized. C. Except for corporate levies to be held in the National Sharing Fund, hereinafter or authorized, taxes may be collected only from individuals and only from incomes, but there may be withholding from current incomes. D. To assist in the maintenance of economic stability, the President may be authorized to alter rates by executive order. We learned about executive order. E. They shall be imposed on profit-making enterprises owned or conducted by religious establishments or other nonprofit organizations. So there you go. Yeah. Okay, so much for nonprofit. F, there shall be none on food, medicines, residential rentals, or commodities or services designated by law as necessities, and there shall be no double taxation. G, none shall be none shall be levied for registering ownership or transfer of property. And now we've got number 2 for expenditure from revenues. A, for the purposes detailed in the annual budget, unless objection be made by the procedure prescribed herein. B, for such other purposes as the House may indicate and require the Planning Board to include in revision of the budget. But, except in declared emergency, the total may not exceed the President's estimate of available funds. 3, for fixing the percentage of net corporate taxable incomes to be paid into a national sharing fund to be held in the custody of the Chancellor of Financial Affairs and made available for such welfare and environmental purposes as are authorized by law. 4, to provide for the regulation of commerce with other nations and among the new states, possessions, territories, or as shall be mutually agreed, with other organized governments, but exports shall not be taxed and imports shall not be taxed except on recommendation of the President at rates whose allowable variation shall be fixed by law. There shall be no quotas and no nations favored by special rates unless by special acts requiring 2/3 majorities. 5, to establish or provide for the establishment of institutions for the safekeeping of savings, for the gathering and distribution of capital, for the issuance of credit, for the regulating of coinage of money, for controlling the media of exchange, and for stabilizing prices. But such institutions, when not public or semi-public, shall be regarded as affected with the public interest and shall be supervised by the Chancellor of Financial Affairs. 6, to establish institutions for insurance against risks and liabilities for communication, transportation, and others commonly used and necessary for public convenience. 8, to assist in the maintenance of world order, and for this purpose, when the President shall recommend, to vest jurisdiction in international legislative, judicial, or administrative agencies. 9, to develop with other peoples and for the benefit of all the resources of space of other bodies in the universe and of the seas beyond 12 miles from the low water shores, unless treaties shall provide other limits. 10. To assist other peoples who have not attained satisfactory levels of well being, to delegate the administration of funds for assistance, wherever possible, to international agencies, and to invest in or contribute to the furthering of development in other parts of the world. 11. To assure or to assist in assuring adequate and equal facilities for education, for training in occupations citizens may be fitted to pursue, and to re-educate or retrain those whose occupations may become obsolete. 12. To establish or to assist institutions devoted to higher education, to research, or to technical training. 13. To establish and maintain or assist in maintaining libraries, archives, monuments, and other places of historic interest. 14. To assist in the advancement of sciences and technologies, and to encourage cultural activities. 15. To conserve natural resources by purchase or by withdrawal from use or by regulation. To provide or assist in providing facilities for recreation. To establish and maintain parks, forests, wilderness areas, wetlands, and prairies. To improve streams and other waters. To ensure the purity of air and water, and to control the erosion of soils, and to provide for all else necessary for the protection and common use of the national heritage. 16. To acquire property and improvements for public use at costs to be fixed, if necessary, by the Court of Claims. 17. To prevent the stoppage or hindrance of the governmental procedures or other activities effected without public interest as defined by law, by reason of disputes between employers and employees, or for other reasons, and for this purpose, to provide for conclusive arbitration of adequate provision for collective bargaining fail. From such findings, there may be appeal to the Court of Arbitration Review, but such proceedings may not stay the acceptance of findings. 18. To support an adequate civil service for the performance of such duties as may be designated by administrators, and for this purpose to refrain from interference with the processes of appointment or placement, asking advice or testimony before committees only with the consent of appropriate superiors. 19. To provide for the maintenance of armed forces. 20. To enact measures as will assist families in making adjustment to future conditions, using estimates concerning the population and resources made by the Planning Board. 21. To vote within 90 days on such measures as the President may designate as urgent. Hello, Dom. How you doing? Dom, you know exactly what working is. You're kicking butt and taking names with that house. Well, like I said, Dom, one day at a time, you're going to cut through that red tape and eventually it'll all be done. But they all have to do their griping and dragging of feet first, right? All right. Ooh, I'm listening to myself. I'm telling a friend of mine to remember to look up and away. And the printing on this particular bit is just tiny. All right. We are now going to read Article 7, the regulatory branch. Section 1. There shall be a regulatory branch, and there shall be a national regulator chosen by the majority of vote of the Senate and removable by 2/3 vote of that body. His term shall be 7 years, and he shall make and administer rules for the conduct of all economic enterprises. The regulatory branch shall have such agencies as the board may find necessary and are not disapproved by law. Section 2. The regulatory board shall consist of 17 members recommended to the Senate by the regulator. Unless rejected by the majority vote, they shall act with the regulator as a lawmaking body for the industry. They shall initially have terms of 1 to 17 years, one being replaced each year and serving for 17 years. They shall be compensated and shall have no other occupation. Section 3. Under procedures approved by the board, the regulator shall charter all corporations or enterprises except those exempted because of size or other characteristics, or those supervised by the Chancellor of Financial Affairs, or by the Intendant, or those whose activities are confined to one new state. Charters shall describe proposed activities, and departure from these shall require amendment on penalty of revocation. For this purpose, there shall be investigation and enforcement services under the direction of the regulator. Section 4. Chartered enterprises in similar industries or occupations may organize joint authorities. These may formulate among themselves codes to ensure fair competition, meet external costs, set standards for quality of service, expand trade, increase production, eliminate waste, and assist in standardization. Authorities may maintain for common use services for research and communication, but membership shall be open to all eligible enterprises. Non-members shall be required to maintain the same standards as those prescribed for members. Section 5. Authorities shall have governing committees of 5, 2 being appointed by the regulator to represent the public. They shall serve as he may determine. They shall be compensated, and he shall take care that there be no conflicts of interest. The board may approve or prescribe rules for the distribution of profits of stockholders, allowable amounts of working capital, and reserves. Costing and all other practices affecting the public interest shall be monitored. All codes shall be subject to review by the regulator and his board. Section 6. Member enterprises of an authority shall be exempt from other regulation. Section 7. The regulator with his board shall fix standards and procedures for mergers of enterprises or the acquisition of some by others, and these shall be in effect unless rejected by the Court of Administrative Settlements. The purpose shall be to encourage adaptation to change and to further approved intentions for the nation. Section 8. The charters of enterprises may be revoked and authorities may be dissolved by the regulator, with the concurrence of the board, if they restrict the production of goods and services or controls of their prices. Also, if external costs are not assessed to their originators and if ecological impacts of their operations are deleterious. Section 9. Operations extending abroad shall conform to policies notified to the regulator by the President, and he shall restrict or control such activities as appear to injure the national interest. Section 10. The regulator shall make rules for and shall supervise marketplaces for goods and services, but this shall not include security exchanges regulated by the Chancellor of Financial Affairs. Section 11. Designation of enterprises affected with a public interest, rules for conduct of enterprises and their authorities, and other actions of the regulator or of the boards may be appealed to the Court of Administrative Settlements, whose judgments shall be informed by the intention to establish fairness to consumers and competitors and stability in economic affairs. Section 12. Responsible also to the regulator, there shall be an operations commission appointed by the regulator, unless the Senate object, for the supervision of enterprises owned in whole or in part by government. The commission shall choose its chairman, and he shall be the executive head of a supervisory staff. He may require reports, conduct investigations, and make rules and recommendations concerning surpluses or deficits, the absorption of external costs, standards of service, and rates or prices charged for the services or goods. Each enterprise shall have a director chosen by and removable by the Commission, and he shall conduct its affairs in accordance with the standards fixed by the Commission. Hello, Linda. How you doing, hon? There we go. I forgot to do that. I completely forgot. But that's okay. We're nearly there. I'm just letting my eyes. Those of us crabs in the bucket trying to climb out keep getting dragged back in by other crabs. Dom, I'm feeling that way as well. Although, oh, shit, I clicked the wrong button. Damn, there we go. Hi, Linda. All right. So, we're on Article 8, the judicial branch. We're almost done with the teeny tiny little writing. Oh, goodness. Ice crabs do move kind of slow, though. Yeah, everything moves kind of slow in the cold. So, the judicial branch. Section 1. There shall be a principal justice of the new states for America, a judicial council, and a judicial assembly. There shall also be a Supreme Court and a High Court of Appeals, also courts of claims, rights and duties, administrative review, arbitration settlements, tax appeals, and appeals from watchkeepers' findings. There shall be circuit courts to be of first resort in suits brought under national law, and they shall hear appeals from courts of the new states. Other courts may be established by law on recommendation of the principal justice with the judicial council. Section 2. The principal justice shall preside over the judicial system, shall appoint the members of all national courts, and unless the judicial council object, shall make its rules. Sorry. Oof. Sorry, I got a bit of cramp here. I'll start that one again. Section 2. The principal justice shall preside over the judicial system, shall appoint the members of all national courts, and unless judicial council object, shall make its rules. Also, through an administrator, supervise its operations. Section 3. Judicial assembly shall consist of a circuit court judge, of circuit court judges. I was going to say one is not quite enough. The judicial assembly shall consist of circuit court judges, together with those of the high courts and of the new states of America, and those of the highest courts in the new states. It shall meet annually or at the call of the principal justice, to consider the state of the judiciary and such other matters as may be laid before it. It shall also meet at the call of the convener to nominate 3 candidates for the principal justiceship whenever a vacancy shall occur. From these nominees, the Senate shall choose the one having the most votes. Section 4. The principal justice, unless the Senate object to any, shall appoint judicial council of 5 members to serve during his incumbency. He shall designate a senior member who shall preside in his absence. It shall be the duty of the council, under the direction of the principal justice, to study the courts in operation, to prepare codes of ethics to be observed by members, and to suggest changes in procedure. The Council may ask the advice of the Judicial Assembly. It shall also be a duty of the Council, as hereinafter provided, to suggest constitutional amendments when they appear to be necessary, and it shall also draft revisions if they shall be required. Further, it shall examine and from time to time cause to be revised civil and criminal codes. These, when approved by the Judicial Assembly, shall be in effect throughout the nation. Section 5. The principal justice shall have a term of 11 years, but if at any time the incumbent resigns or be disabled from continuing in office, as may be determined by the Senate, replacement shall be by the senior member of the Judicial Council until a new selection be made. After 6 years, the Assembly may provide by 2/3 vote for the discontinuance in office, and a successor shall then be chosen. Section 6. The principal justice may suspend members of any court for incapacity or violation of rules, and the separation shall be final if a majority of the council agree. For each court of the principal justice, I'm literally at the break in the binding. This is going to be the hardest part of the read. Oh, I lost my spot now. Oh, there it is. For each court, the principal justice shall from time to time appoint a member who shall preside. Section 7. A presiding judge may decide, with the concurrence of the senior judge, that there may be pretrial proceedings, that criminal trials shall be conducted by either investigatory or adversary proceedings, and whether there shall be a jury and what the number of jurors shall be. But investigatory proceedings shall require a bench of 3. Section 8. In deciding on the concordance of the statutes with the Constitution, the Supreme Court shall return to the House of Representatives such as it cannot construe. If the House fail to make return within 90 days, the Court may interpret. Section 9. The principal justice or the president may grant pardons or reprieves. Section 10. The High Court shall have 13 members, but 9 members, chosen by their senior justices from time to time, shall constitute a court. The justices on leave shall be subject to recall. Other courts shall have 9 members, but 7, chosen by their senior, shall constitute a court. All shall be in continuous session except for recesses approved by the principal justice. Section 11. The principal justice with the council may advise the Senate, when requested, concerning the appropriateness of measures approved by the House of Representatives, and may also advise the President, when requested, on matters he may refer for consultation. Section 12. It shall be for other branches to accept and to enforce judicial decrees. Section 13. The High Court of Appeals may select applications for further consideration by the Supreme Court of decisions reached by other courts, including those of the new states. If it agree that there be a constitutional issue, it may make preliminary judgment to be reviewed without hearing, and finally by the Supreme Court. Section 14. The Supreme Court may decide a. Whether, in litigation coming to it on appeal, constitutional provisions have been violated or standards have not been met. B. On the application of constitutional provisions to suits involving the new states. C. Whether international law as recognized in treaties, United Nations agreements, or arrangements with other nations has been ignored or violated. And D. Other causes involving the interpretation of constitutional provisions, except that in holding any branch to have exceeded its powers, the decision shall be suspended until the judicial court shall have determined whether, in order to avoid constant. Oh, sorry. Oh, like I said, it's cold, but it warmed up just enough that everything's melting. It's everything's dripping and everything hurts because of the moisture, the humidity. So I do apologize. All right. So we're talking about this, what the Supreme Court may decide. D, other causes involving the interpretation of constitutional provisions, except that in holding any branch to have exceeded its powers, the decision shall be suspended until the judicial court shall have been determined whether, in order to avoid confrontation, procedures for amendment of the Constitution are appropriate. If amendatory proceedings are instituted, decision shall await the outcome. Section 15. The courts of the new state shall have initial jurisdiction in cases arising under their laws, except those involving the new state itself or those reserved for national courts by a rule of the principal justice with the Judicial Council. Article 9, General Provisions. Section 1, qualifications for participation in democratic procedures as a citizen and eligibility for office shall be subject to repeated study and redefinition. But any change in qualification or eligibility shall become effective only if not disapproved by the Congress. For this purpose, a permanent citizenship and qualifications commission shall be constituted, 4 members to be appointed by the President, 3 by the convener of the Senate, 3 by the Speaker of the House, and 3 by the principal justice. Vacancies shall be filled as they occur. The members shall choose a chairman. They shall have suitable assistance and accommodations, and they may have other occupations. Recommendations of the commission shall be presented to the President and shall be transmitted to the House of Representatives with comments. They shall have a preferred place on the calendar and, if approved, shall be in effect. Section 2. Areas necessary for uses of government may be acquired at its valuation and may be maintained as the public interest may require. Such areas shall have self-government in matters of local concern. Section 3. The President may negotiate for the acquisition of areas outside the new states of America and, if the Senate approve, may provide for their organization as possessions or territories. Section 4. The President may make agreements with other organized peoples for a relation other than full membership in the new states of America. They may become citizens and may participate in the selection of officials. They may receive assistance from their development or from the National Sharing Fund if they conform to its requirements, and they may serve in civilian or military services, but only as volunteers. They shall be represented in the House of Representatives. They're blending words again. By members elected at large, their number proportional to the constituencies, but each shall have at least one, and each shall in the same way choose one permanent member of the Senate. Section 5. The President, the Vice Presidents, and members of the legislative houses shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace be exempt from penalty for anything they may say while pursuing public duties, but the Judicial Council may make restraining rules. Section 6. Except as otherwise provided by this Constitution, each legislative house shall establish its requirement for membership and may make rules for the conduct of members, including conflicts of interest, providing its own disciplines for their infraction. Section 7. No new state shall interfere with officials of the new states of America in the performance of their duties, and all shall give full faith and credit to the acts of other new states and of the new states of America. Section 8. Section 8. Public funds shall be expended only as authorized in this Constitution. Article 10. Governmental arrangements. Section 1. Offices of the new states of America shall be those named in this Constitution, including those of the legislative houses and other authorized by law to be appointed. They shall be compensated, and none may have other paid occupation unless they be accepted by law. None shall occupy more than one position in the government, and no gift or favor shall be accepted if in any way related to official duty. No income from former employments or associations shall continue for their benefits, but their properties may be put in trust and managed without their intervention during continuance in office. Hardships under this rule may be considered by the Court of Rights and Duties, and exceptions may be made with due regard to the general intention. Section 2. The President, the Vice Presidents, and the Principal Justice shall have households appropriate to their duties. The President, the Vice Presidents, the Principal Justice, and the Chairman of the Planning Board, the Regulator, the Watchkeeper, and the Overseer shall have salaries fixed by law and continued for life. But if they become members of the Senate, they shall have senatorial compensation and shall conform to senatorial requirements. Justices of the High Court shall have no term, and their salary shall be 2/3 that of the Principal Justice. They and members of the Judicial Council, unless they shall have become senators, shall be permanent members of the judiciary and shall be available for assignment by the Principal Justice. Salaries for members of the Senate shall be the same as for justices of the High Court of Appeals. Section 3. Unless otherwise provided herein, officials designated by the head of a branch as sharers in policy making may be appointed by him with the President's concurrence, and unless the Senate shall object. Section 4. There shall be administrators. A. For executive offices and official households appointed by authority of the President. B. For national courts appointed by the Principal Justice. C. For the legislative branch selected by a committee of members from each house, chosen by the convener and the Speaker. 3 from the House of Representatives, and 4 from the Senate. Appropriations shall be made to them, but those for the presidency shall not be reduced during his term unless with his consent, and those for the judicial branch shall not be reduced during 5 years succeeding their termination, or their determination, unless with the consent of the Principal Justice. Section 5. The fiscal year shall be the same as the calendar year, with new appropriations avail at its beginning. Section 6. There shall be an official's protective service to guard the President, the Vice Presidents, the Principal Justice, and other officials whose safety may be at hazard. And there shall be a protector appointed by and responsible to a standing committee of the Senate. Protected officials shall be guided by procedures approved by the committee. The service, at the request of the political overseer, may extend its protection to candidates for office to other officials if the committee so decide. Section 7. A suitable contingency fund shall be made available to the President for purposes defined by law. Section 8. The Senate shall try officers of government other than legislators when such officers are impeached by 2/3 vote of the House of Representatives for conduct prejudicial to the public interest. If presidents or vice presidents are to be tried, the Senate, as constituted, shall conduct the trial. Judgment shall not extend beyond removal from office and disqualification from holding further office, but the convicted official shall be liable to further prosecution. Section 9. Members of legislative houses may be impeached by the Judicial Council, but for trials it shall be enlarged to 17 by justices of the high courts appointed by the principal justice. If convicted, members shall be expelled and be ineligible for future public office, and they shall also be liable for trial as citizens. Article 11, the amendment. Section 1, it being the special duty of the Judicial Council to formulate and suggest amendments to this Constitution, it shall from time to time make proposals through the principal justice to the Senate. The Senate, if it approve, and if the President agree, shall instruct the overseer to arrange at the next national election for submission of the amendment to the electorate. If not disproved by a majority, it shall become part of this Constitution. If rejected, it may be restudied and a new proposal submitted. It shall be the purpose of the amending procedure to correct deficiencies in the Constitution, to extend it where new responsibilities require, and to make government responsible to the needs of the people, making use of agencies in managerial competence and establishing security and stability. Also to preclude changes in the Constitution resulting from interpretation. Section 2, when this Constitution shall have been in effect for 25 years, the overseer shall ask by referendum whether a new Constitution shall be prepared. If a majority so decide, the Council, making use of such advice as may be available, and consulting those who have made complaint, shall prepare a new draft for submission at the next election. If not disproved by a majority, it shall be in effect. If disproved, it shall be redrafted and resubmitted with such changes as may be then appropriate to the circumstances, and it shall be submitted to the voters at the following election. If not disproved by the majority, it shall be in effect. If disproved, it shall be restudied and resubmitted. Well, that's nice. Every 25 years, you get a whole new Constitution. How's that for fun? And completely no way that's going to get corrupted. Article 12 is transition. Section 1. The President is authorized to assume such powers, make such appointments, and use such funds as are necessary to make this Constitution effective as soon as possible after acceptance by a referendum he may initiate. Section 2. Such members of the Senate as may be at once available shall convene, and if at least half, shall constitute sufficient membership while others are being added. They shall appoint an overseer. Aha! Here comes the overseer in the very end. Very end. So I'm going to start that again. Section 2. Such members of the Senate as may be at once available shall convene, and if at least half, shall constitute sufficient membership while others are being added. They shall appoint an overseer to arrange for electoral organization and elections for the offices of government, but the President and Vice President shall serve out their terms and then become members of the Senate. At that time, the presidency shall be constituted as provided in this Constitution. Section 3. Until each indicated change in the government shall have been completed, the provisions of the existing Constitution and the organs of government shall be in effect. Section 4. All operations of the national government shall cease as they are replaced by those authorized under this Constitution. The President shall determine when replacement is complete. The President shall cause to be constituted an appropriate commission to designate existing laws inconsistent with this Constitution, and they shall be void. Also, the Commission shall assist the President and the legislative houses in the formulating of such laws as may be consistent with the Constitution and necessary to its implementation. Section 5. For establishing new states' boundaries, a commission of 13, appointed by the President, shall make recommendations within 1 year. For this purpose, the members may take advice in commission studies concerning resources, population, transportation, communication, economic and social arrangements, and other such conditions as may be significant. The President shall transmit the Commission's report to the Senate after entertaining, if convenient, petitions for revision. The Senate shall report whether the recommendations are satisfactory, but the President shall decide whether they shall be accepted or shall be returned for revision. Existing states shall not be divided unless metropolitan areas extending over more than one state are to be included in one new state, or unless other compelling circumstances exist, and each new state shall possess harmonious regional characteristics. The Commission shall continue while the new states make adjustments among themselves and shall have jurisdiction in disputes arising among them. Section 6. Constitutions of the new states shall be established as arranged by the Judicial Council and the Principal Justice. These procedures shall be as follows. Constitution shall be drafted by the highest courts of the new states. There shall then be a convention of 100 delegates chosen in special elections in a procedure approved by the overseer. If the Constitution be not rejected, the principal justice, advised by the Judicial Council, shall promulgate a constitution and initiate revisions to be submitted for approval at a time he shall appoint. If it again be rejected, he shall promulgate another, taking account of objections, and it shall be in effect. A constitution, once in effect, shall be valid for 25 years as herein provided. Section 7. Until governors and legislators of the new states are seated, their governments shall continue, except that the President may appoint temporary governors to act as executives until succeeded by those regularly elected. These governors shall succeed to the executive functions of the states as they become one of the new states of America. Section 8. The indicated appointments, the elections, and other arrangements shall be made with all deliberate speed. Section 9. The first judicial assembly for selecting a register for candidates for the principal justiceship of the new states of America shall be called by the incumbent Chief Justice immediately upon ratification. Section 10. New states electing by referendum not to comply with recommendations of the Boundary Commission, as approved by the Senate, shall have deducted from taxes collected by the new states of America for transmission to them a percentage equal to the loss in efficiency from failure to comply. Estimate shall be made by the Chancellor of Financial Affairs and approved by the President, but the deduction shall not be less than 7%. Section 11. When this Constitution has been implemented, the President may delete by proclamation appropriate parts of this article. Oh, and that, my friends, is the end of the ridiculous tiny printing. Thank goodness. The next chapter is not the normal size printing of the book. It's still small, but it's not as small as this last one. So thank God for that. Let's see here. Oh, my thing went to sleep. That would be why it's not working. That's awesome. We're talking about diagnoses. Okay, so you're fiddling with the diet a bit. How are the new meds, AP? Were you able to get those? Linda's telling AP to kick people. All right. Doesn't look like we're doing good. We're talking about diets. AP says war sounds better than the BS in that book. Well, yeah, this particular one, that's just one of their potential plans to go ahead with the globalist agenda. Dom is saying, yeah, the writer claimed he was exposing a secret plan to change the government. Dom says, I don't think it was an actual plan. I think he made a lot of it up. Pipe dreams, maybe, and none of it has been successful or better than what was. Who's making up the actual plan? What actual plan? The plan to change the government? Oh, I thought you had found a new regimen you were going to try. I may have you mixed up with someone else. I might be wrong. You would know if your meds are your meds and they're still the same ones. You'd know best. But for some reason, I had it in my head that you were trying some new meds. Same meds. Going to use the diet to get off all the meds. Gotcha. Okay. Linda says, I still like it better than a dirt nap. Thank you. I agree 100%. We're all still here, and that's the key, right? So my legs are cramping like a mofo. I got to make like a tree and leave rather quickly, but I want to make sure you guys know next week I will be doing this on Tuesday, not Wednesday. Next week, I'm going to start on YouTube, but I'm going to make it a Rumble exclusive because next week, chapter 15, we will be reading the Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion. If you've heard of them before, you know it's going to be an interesting one. This is the exact reprint of the original text. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm doing it on Tuesday instead of Wednesday morning. I'm doing it Tuesday morning because a friend of mine has to work Wednesday, but they want to catch this specific chapter live. It's going to be loads of fun. I'm going to put out messages in the Discord in advance because it's a big one and there's a lot of people out there that'll probably be interested in hearing this one. So thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for being here. As always, you're wonderful, wonderful. And I will see you next Tuesday for that. And I will see you Saturday night probably for game night and Sunday as always. Other than that, we'll talk to you later.
Change from day to day. Science, art, or history's play. No path too twisted, no trail too thin. She dives right in where to begin. Nothing's too obscure. She'll dig and take a spirit so pure. From ancient lore to future dreams, every question finds its gleam.